Blavity.
Okay. Can I pull it, or tell us what it is?
It's a BuzzFeed for Black millennials.
Okay. Blavity. So here's a recent post, and it has 358 likes on 200,000 followers, which is one of the worst engagement rates I've ever seen. Since you're an advisor to the company and you know a lot more than me about marketing and startups, why have you not helped their social media? That is truly one of the horrible. 358.
Tai is bullying John right here. Notice that Tai didn't want any information about the company, their message, their community, nothing. He went to social media and analyzed their first post to check engagement, and that might not even been their latest post. He might have just picked one with the lowest engagement. He did this because he knows he can bury the argument when he compares his reach, engagement, and numbers compared to this startup. Tai also presents a challenge to John in a condescending tone. Since you are so much more knowledgeable than me, why haven't you fixed this problem, John?
Like, obviously I can't disclose private things, but it's
so they're killing it, but no one can know. No one's allowed to know.
You see how comfortable Tai is in this debate. It's because they're playing at his pace. Even when he's the one being asked a question, he answers calmly and flips a question right back to John. He even has a pretty funny joke. Something I learned from RSD in my days of picking up women, you always want to be controlling the conversation and have your opposition in the debate reacting to you. You can clearly see that John is reacting to Tai. He doesn't seem as calm and in control, which in a debate setting, that's really important for how the audience perceives you. John is a smart and successful guy too. I think John's best tactic here would have been to explain in detail the challenges that his startup has and why you can't compare Tai's numbers and engagement with Blavity. If I was in John's position, I think his best move would have been to explain that Blavity relies on long-form writing and well-thought-out journalism and doesn't rely on using Lambos and flashy cars to sell a lifestyle. A conversation something like this: what you're doing is a lot easier and your target market is 100 times larger. Hey Tai, take away the Lambo and you're still the guy in front of a bookshelf with just 2,000 subscribers like you were before using the Lamborghinis and flashy lifestyle. If we resorted to low-hanging fruit marketing, then we have a similar engagement rate. Now obviously I'm reading off a script, but in the moment it's obviously harder, but I think something along those lines probably would have had a little bit more punch for John.
Did you need a breather? John Henry. Did you need a breather, my friend? I understand.
No. I just needed to make sure. So they're reaching 20 million millennials a month.
But you're just making up numbers. Prove it.
This is such a bullying tactic that works really well in a debate. He makes a damaging claim and asks for proof, knowing that it will be hard for John to factually prove this number on the spot.
You know what I learned about people?
Go to Google right now. No, Tai. Unlike you, I'm not going to weasel my way around questions. Go to Google right now. It's public information. They're reaching 20 million millennials a month, and they're fucking badass on social media. Go straight down their feed. Check out their engagement. It's at about 3%.
What John is describing is really impressive. He has actual data showing that his company is successful at what they're doing.
So can I ask you?
That's one of my.
Is that a press release that they released that they're doing 20 million?
No, I
Did
believe.
you get a press release on YouTube?
I believe that's on Y Combinator's blog, and I believe Y Combinator is the best accelerator in the world. So there's
for everybody who wants to
covered
see
on every major publication.
If you go to
They've
Blavity,
been covered on every major publication. Tai,
they
you
have
don't know more about
200,000
startup investing than I do.
Sometimes winning a debate is just simply knowing when to be a little louder than the opposition. When John makes a good point, Tai uses humor, points to their low engagement rate on one post, and gets a little louder than John. He swings the perception that he's a better businessman than John, even with John in the background stating that he knows more about startup investing.
They have 1,400 likes on 200,000.
Nate,
John,
you don't know more about startup investing.
If you want, I will do one thing.
Will you admit that I know more about startup investing than you?
John, do you have low self-esteem about saying who's the better entrepreneur?
Tai delivers such a big right hook. John is constantly looking for validation of being the better startup investor and wants Tai to bite. But Tai doesn't bite and instead delivers a pretty big blow in the form of a loaded question. That's a really tough question to ask in the moment.
No, I'm finding this hilarious. I'm having a great time. And I hope that someday we get to have a drink.
This is a great response, actually. He deflects the question, laughs about it, showing that it didn't affect him, and even brings up that he could see himself being friends with Tai. Whenever you get challenged like that, and you can laugh it off, it usually shows a sense of confidence that it didn't affect you.
I tell people, hustle so hard until your haters ask if you're hiring. I promise you should hire me to consult for your brevity, because brevity should be called motherfucking brevity, because brevity is about how many likes they have.
That's pretty brutal of Tai. He straight strong arms John and even says that he should be hired to solve their engagement problems. He adds a nickname to the startup, and I partially think he's mocking the app by constantly mispronouncing the name.
So,
John, you might need to stick with real estate.
Can you just
investing.
admit that I know more about startup investing than you?
No, John.
Oh, but bro, you didn't know pre-money valuation.
I absolutely knew what pre-money valuation is.
Okay,
John,
so
this is called reaching.
What Tai has done really well thus far is he hasn't played into John's games at all. John continually wanted to dive into definitions and specifics of investing in real estate like a trivia game, and Tai has countered each time. This is like watching a UFC fighter who is excellent at the ground game keep going for takedowns and whiffing each time.
Can I ask you another question about startup investing?
Sure. Let's do Trivial Pursuit here. Who won the Super Bowl in 1999? Let's see who has the better memory.
Bro.
If you noticed how well Tai is countering, every time John wants to try and trap Tai into a game of who knows more, Tai immediately counters with humor and sarcasm this time. Notice how John's question seems really unimportant now. Tai uses the Super Bowl reference to presuppose that John's question is basically irrelevant. How can John possibly respond to that with a question that looks good? Tai basically took the wind out of his sails before he could even ask the question, leaving him powerless.
Honestly, you're just avoiding every
Wait, you didn't ask me a question yet.
I hope that your team that's behind you realizes that you don't know as much as they think you do.
John's approach to this debate the entire time was to out-knowledge Tai on very specific definitions, and so here he's making his claim poorly worded. We'll see how Tai responds.
I'm not saying that you don't know anything at
I
all,
will tell you, there's many things I don't know, and you are correct. The old saying, the older I get, the less I realize I know, and that is true. The older I get, business is huge. I run into people that know things that I don't know, and I'm blown away. In fact, when I meet someone like that, I want to take them out to drinks.
One of the best ways to address criticism is to agree and amplify. This is typically done to calm down a hostile situation, and in my experience, one of the best ways to actually flirt with women, funny enough. It's a strategy that is very effective when you are personally being challenged. I'll give you an example. Someone might write a comment telling me that my videos are terribly boring. So one way to respond would be to address the criticism defensively, which generally makes you look childish. No, my videos aren't boring, they're so amazing. Or I can comment back saying, YouTube sent me an award for having the most boring videos on YouTube, but yet a lot of people seem to like them. Why do you think that is? Agree, amplify the criticism to make it like a cartoon, and then present a challenging question back to your opposition.
So my main thing is, I am sure you know stuff that I don't know. But John, be careful. I'm just gonna give you a little word of wisdom. Be careful, man, when you say you know more than a lot of other people. There's no point to it. Who cares?
What Tai just did is he destroyed John's entire tactic. John wanted to play the trivia style of who knows more game, and Tai basically just said, who cares, bro? This puts John in a tough position to defend the game he's playing or look defeated.
Who cares?
Tai. Last one, because time is money, right? I gotta make some money.
John deflects and doesn't give any indication that he wanted to address the point Tai just made.
Let's just go like...
Should I get everybody to like the brevity post? Brevity? I could help you out, dude. I could get you at least 5,000 likes on that shit, but you've never got it yet.
This is Tai, Dad, Dick, and John. This is pretty impressive debate skills, I have to admit. He uses his nickname Mocking Blavity and basically indicates that he has enough power to send more likes to this company's page than they could get on their own just with his influence. He adds the subtle because you haven't gotten those numbers yet at the end. You can even look at Tai's face and the tone of his voice as it trailed off into being more quiet. He almost didn't want to say it because he knew how damaging it was.
But you've never got it yet.
This is like a checkmate in chess line.
We put in starter capital and we're making $50,000 a day. Let's be honest. Does Blevity, and I'll post a screenshot if you want to see the Shopify revenue. Or ClickFunnels. We do the checkout. What is the revenue on your company, Blevity?
Dude, I can't I can't. I certainly cannot disclose. I certainly
you got something to hide.
I am a professional investor, right?
Hey, companies disclose their numbers all the time, bro.
No, but
Tai's positioning is expert level. He's basically saying the company I invested in is making 50 grand a day. How much is your company making? He knows full well that it isn't anywhere close to that. And then with his challenging question, it allows him to question if John has something to hide. I think a mistake John made was putting himself in position to compare financial numbers with Tai. His startup is serving a different purpose than Tai's company. It has a much smaller audience, much smaller reach, and the company has less potential for huge financial numbers. This would have been very difficult in the moment to do, so it's certainly a hindsight is 2020 kind of thing. But I'm looking through Tai's Instagram, and probably 20 to 40% of his posts have engagement significantly lower than 1%. So it would have been risky to have Tai pull up his Instagram, but I bet John could have found at least one post where there was an engagement rank similar to Blavity, and that would have been pretty good ammo against Tai's biggest critique. I'm looking at a post 1 month ago, 26,000 likes on a page with 2.9 million followers. That's less than 1% engagement. He also could have brought up how much they've spent in ads for Blavity, which is probably pretty low compared to what Tai spent on YouTube ads. Tai's been pretty open about how much he spent, and it's like in the tens of millions of dollars. If Blavity has grown completely organically, then he can position this company as one that didn't need advertising for engagement, to kind of give a little subtle jab at Tai.
A basic one for you.
Private companies do it all the time.
I pray to God that you know this, but what is dilution?
Dilution is when you own shares in a company and you raise more money into the company. And so instead of you owning, let's say, 50% of the company, you have to own, you dilute your shares down to 20% or 15%. It happens all the time.
Notice Tai's tone. He's very fun and confident when he's challenging John, but then he shifts to a condescending tone of voice as if answering these questions is beneath him. Just in his tone, he's able to convey that playing this trivia game is too easy for him.
I want my Instagram audience to vote right now. Like, who honestly felt that I had way more like actual technical chops than Tai?
That was the game John was trying to play all along. He essentially wanted validation for having more technical knowledge than Tai, and wanted to trap Tai in a definition game where he kind of out-defined some investing terms than Tai, and it really didn't go that way.
So there's been guys in the game of personal branding a lot longer than me in business. A lot longer, 10 years longer. And I have more than all of them combined in 2 years. Why wouldn't you be intrigued by that?
I am personally fascinated with how Tai has grown. I would probably ask what the ad budget is for all the people he's referencing. Are you guys ready for another Tai Lopez special?
Let me ask you a question. So Blavity, your startup,
bro,
you think if I was on the board, I wouldn't add value to your company?
Well, you would. I wouldn't want you on the board. Like, that's the thing. Like, the board is reserved for people that have like access to, strategic corporate partners and so forth, and so folks who can acquire companies down the road. And, like, have you ever invested in a company that's been acquired?
I know. You don't think I know any potential strategic partners for you?
Tai is not going to answer John's position. Instead, he's going to use his affiliation to sound like Blavity would be making a huge mistake to not consider Tai. I think John's making pretty good points here, but Tai can be a little weasel.
No, dude. No, I don't.
No.
Okay, listen. This has been fun.
So Steve Ballmer and Mark Cuban being friends of mine, you don't think Mark Cuban can add any value?
There's the affiliate marketer in Tai, and what a loaded question that is. Tai has a video with Mark Cuban, so they certainly know each other, but there's no way to confirm that Mark Cuban would join a company's board at Tai's request on a text message.
He would
Mark
not.
Cuban has chops. Mark Cuban has built actual businesses, right? So of course he can add value, but don't rest your laurels on Mark Cuban. Say, can you add value? This
is a great challenging question by John. He takes away Tai's biggest argument, his affiliation with famous businessmen, and asks him directly if he could add value. That's the kind of question I wish he would have been asking the whole time.
I rest my laurels
I would not
on
feel comfortable
John Henry.
with you taking up space on any of my board seats, Tai. I love you, but no, I don't want you on there unless I start a personal branding company. Then of course I want you on there.
Great point by John again. We'll see if Tai has another Tai Lopez special in him.
All businesses are now branding businesses, my friend. And Ray A. Kroc realized that in the 1960s and 70s, and he made Ronald McDonald the personal face brand. He became the wealthiest man in the world. Bill Gates realized, and Steve Jobs, that to grow their companies, Steve Jobs talks about it in 1984, he had to go on stage and get over his fear of public speaking.
Tai is so good at this. He always deflects anything aimed at him into a business history or conceptual lesson about running a business, and he typically uses famous businessmen to make his point. It's not that he's necessarily wrong, he just moves the argument into his playing field so he doesn't have to address their criticism head on.
We debated, I think we established that you don't know that much about startup investing or real estate investing.
This is a really good quote by John. In an argument, you can really position yourself as the victor when you use words like, "We both agree that you don't know much." That's hilarious.
I'll tell you the number one thing that my followers are saying on all the I've seen it over and over is, who the fuck is this guy you brought on, Tai? So you might need to do your personal branding more, John Henry, so that people will know you, my friend.
That was a pretty big statement by Tai.
Okay, so when you see me on TV in a few weeks, we'll talk about personal branding, okay?
John has earned respect for his actual business prowess. He earned his way onto a television show, and he did it without advertising himself in a huge ad budget. I think he could have taken some good shots at Tai, mentioning how he didn't need anything to get respect, or he could have manipulated the words a little bit to make it sound like Tai is only famous from the Lamborghini ads and not from expertise.
I have zero doubt that you can show me more on personal branding, but I want to get better at actual business. That's what I'm talking about.
John now has some daggers at the end. The goal of this video is not to analyze every finite detail and quote unquote expose Tai Lopez or anything. I simply wanted to analyze the debate as if I was a third-party observer in a courtroom with no knowledge of either party, with the intent of being as objective as possible. To me, Tai easily won this debate, regardless of what you think about him. The cap rate question was obviously a bad look for Tai, but Tai handled all of John's questions really well and countered at every chance he could. And really, Tai isn't more of a macro level guy. He doesn't really dive deep into definitions, he just runs a big business. Knowing the two, I think John's best position would have been to focus on Tai's career before the Lamborghini videos and the ad budget. John is talented and knowledgeable and has a lot of book smarts, but Tai wasn't a good match for him simply because he could always resort to the strong arm tactic of I'm more successful than you, therefore I have more credibility and quote unquote know more. I hope this video was entertaining and you learned something from it. I enjoy making these kinds of videos because I'm learning too, and these videos kind of serve as a way for me to learn as well.